Hi there, I'm Shauna Robbins, founder and CEO of Third Spark, and today I have the pleasure of doing an Authority Magazine interview with Wendy Leeds. And Wendy and I are going to be discussing midlife crisis to midlife reset, how to use a midlife crisis as an opportunity to embrace change and unlock new possibilities. Wendy is a three-time cancer survivor and a licensed psychotherapist and the host of the podcast Anxiety Connection. She is the author of Calm and Sense, A Woman's Guide to Living Anxiety Free. Her next book, Solving the Anxiety Equation, The Formula for Freeing Yourself from Fear, is due to be published in February of 2025. Hi, Wendy. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, it's so nice to be here, Shauna.
So nice to have you. I'm so thrilled to be able to talk to you about things that are really, really important to women, especially in midlife.
Yes, yes.
So tell me, how do you define a midlife crisis?
Well, I think it looks different for everyone. Midlife, 40 to 60, we kind of stop and take stock of our lives. We look at what we've accomplished, and then we look at what we meant to accomplish. We notice that we things are changing physically, and I think we stop and take a look at where we've been and figure out how we feel about it. And I think the crisis comes when we decide we haven't met our goals, we haven't accomplished, we have a bucket list that we may never, ever get to. And I think that's where the crisis happens.
I feel like so much of a midlife crisis per se is focused on men, right? The younger
Yes,
girlfriend, the fast race car, they change their hair, they change their look.
yes,
But nobody's really talking about what it feels like for women, like you said, to feel like you have things that you wanted to accomplish that you haven't been able to get to, right? Because maybe you're raising children or working your career or caretaking your parents. Everything has been about everybody else. But what
yes.
about what you want? So talk to me about the differences that you see between, men and women at this stage in the game.
Well, I think you said it perfectly. Women are caretakers. We are we often do more in the home than men do. We get overwhelmed and we lose ourselves.
Mhm.
And for us, midlife can be a time where we reclaim who we are. We can choose to stop taking care. No, not stop, but maybe take care less of others and start putting ourselves in the equation. I say to people, tell me about your to-do list. And especially, I'm talking about women. Well, I have to do this and this and this and this. And I'll say, well, where are you on the list? Oh, was I supposed to be on the list? Yes, yes. And I think midlife is a great time to do that. Start putting yourself in the top three.
Oh, I love that. How about just the top two, even, right?
Okay,
I
I'm
mean, like,
going.
I teach women to put their sleep on the list, right? And they're like, I don't even know how to do that. There's no time to sleep. I'll sleep when I'm dead. And I said, well, that's exactly what you're going to create if you don't sleep, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and yeah, and I think that midlife brings us an opportunity to reevaluate, to rethink, and to talk about it differently, to talk about ourselves differently, and start looking at the future.
That's a great conversation. So for women that are really struggling out there of feeling disconnected from themselves, what advice do you give them? I mean, who do they have this conversation with? How do they begin to even figure out how to get themselves on the list?
Well, I think they talk with themselves. I think how you talk about yourself to yourself, as well as to everyone else, is how you change your life. I talk to women all the time, and I hear their language, the things we say to ourselves about ourselves, we would never say to anyone else. We would never treat anyone else the way we treat ourselves. Sometimes we even bully ourselves. I think if you're excited about moving forward, what you do is you become your own best cheerleader. You step up and you say, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to support you, and I'm going to cheer you on.
I think that's beautiful. I wish more women did that. And I'm really happy that there are women like you out there that are a role model and a mentor for younger women and showing them how this is done.
Yeah. And you don't have to wait to be a certain age. You can do it right now. You can say to yourself, boy, I'm pretty terrific. And you may not believe it, but I've seen research that shows the more you say something, the more you're likely to believe it.
Mhm.
So you say, I'm terrific. You say it 1,000 times. Guess what?
Yeah, there's a motivational speaker named Mel Robbins, and she has a YouTube show about high-fiving yourself in the
I
mirror.
was just going to
Morning.
say,
Yeah, have you seen that
high
too?
five. Yes, she is so dead on. Yes. But it starts with your language. Stop scaring yourself, stop threatening yourself, and stop insulting yourself. Start loving yourself with how you talk to you. I think that's where it all begins.
I love that, Wendy. That's really important. So tell me about your book. You want to talk about your current book? Or you want to talk about the new one that's coming out? Because I think they're both really interesting and women should know about them.
Well, the last book was for women because I went to the bookstore and couldn't find a book that was specifically for anxious women. We are twice as likely to be diagnosed with anxiety, much more likely to be put on medication. And there was no book specifically for us. So if you're an anxious woman and you're looking for something that addresses, menopause or hormones, that's the book. The new book is my attempt to take the fear out, to take the anxiety out of being anxious. I think people think anxiety is something that just happens. No, you can break it right down into a formula. And when you know how the formula works, you get to heal your anxiety. It's not a magical thing. It's something that you can help yourself through. I'm anxious. I've been anxious my whole life. And I was always looking for somebody to save me.
Until you learn to save yourself, right?
That's it. I'm so glad you said that. And that's the magic. I think a lot of women are waiting to be rescued. Go rescue yourself. That's the magic.
Hmm. So will the second book be more of a how-to guide for women to be able to?
The second book addresses, first of all, it addresses a lot of the new thinking dealing with the vagus nerve and physical anxiety, how that impacts how the body makes our mind anxious. It's a two-way street. I'm talking about past fear, the future, and putting it all together so you really do understand how the body and the mind interact and how our body can make us anxious.
That's
That's a
interesting.
pretty new thinking.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
can be really powerful for women. I can see that. It's really going to make people feel like they need to take responsibility for themselves and also
Yes.
that they have hope for a more holistic approach to dealing with anxiety besides just medication that doesn't always have the best side effects for them.
That's why I sat down and wrote the book, the first book, because you go to the doctor and they say, well, you have cholesterol, high cholesterol. You can take the medication, or here's a book on how things you can do to lower the cholesterol naturally. Here's the book to lower your anxiety naturally. Not against drugs. I've seen medication miracles, but maybe there's something you can do before you try the drugs. That's all.
Yeah, that's very powerful. I know when I first hit perimenopause and was having hot flashes, the first thing I did was go into my GP and
Mhm.
I told her she was a young woman in her mid 30s and I said, I'm having hot flashes. Can you prescribe me, some sort of hormone replacement? And she said, no, I can't, but I can give you an antidepressant and that will help your hot flashes. And I said, thank you, but no, thank you. This is, I need something that's going to actually fix what's happening in my body, which is lack of estrogen and progesterone. And I know that that will help my mental health. But I think about how many women that don't have the education and the health and the awareness that I have that might have just taken the prescription and walked out the door.
It's so easy to prescribe any kind of medication. It's so hard to get off it on the other end. It's easy. It's easy. I don't blame doctors at all, but it's much easier than doing the work.
Mm. Well, I love that you're gonna actually provide women with a resource, two books, a podcast, this interview, your print interview. I mean, the more information that you can get out there, the better. So, how can women connect with you? How can they find you? What's your
Uh,
website? What's your social media? Anything that's out there?
wendyleeds.com. Just head on over and it connects to everything. And I'm really looking forward to making lots of new friends and having a dialogue about how we can be ladies together.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I can't wait to get a new copy of your book when it comes out.
And I'm going to get a copy of yours because sleep is really important.
Yeah, sleep and anxiety, there's definitely a connection there.
Huge connection. I feel a bond.
Super. All right, Wendy, thank you so much for joining me today. It was really lovely to chat with you.
And I've had such a wonderful time chatting with you. Thank you.